2018 Mercedes-AMG E63 S4matic car review. An original W124 series AMG Hammer is parked beside a row of latest Mercedes-AMG E63 sedans. It's a slave to in monochromatic black, wearing the body kit that made AMG famous, slightly forlorn, a tad dated, its glory days during the past like an old pugilist. Next to the newest cars, some may even mistake it with the caterer's car. Sic transit gloria mundi. The good points of 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63 S4matic. Stupendous power, more accessible launch control, new drift mode, well-behaved automatic. The bad points of 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63 S4matic. Fairly high steering effort, drift mode is tough to access, packs many meat on its bones. Except it's not the caterer's car, and I can't stop observing it. The original AMG Hammer hasn't released yet. Hasn't dismissed of me. Hasn't dismissed of AMG. AMG still builds the items, kind of, but this time they don't refer to them as hammers. They should still contact hammers. The name they've chosen is E63 S4matic Plus. Yes, the great-grandson with the hammer carries a Wi-Fi password for any name. Less displacement, more power. Still, there's no denying the bond between the original plus the new car. On sale August as a 2018 model, the brand new E63 is constructed on the newest A-Class platform and has now 603 horsepower in S-guys and 563 ponies rolling around in its basic form. The 5.5-liter twin-turbo V8, which made 550 horsepower within the base version in the outgoing car and 577 horses from the S-model, fully gone. In its place there's a 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8, precisely the same engine that rips inside AMG GTS, the C63, and even from the G550, yes, it's from the wagon. A hot inner V engine with all the turbochargers nestled within the cylinder bank valley as well as the intake valves inside the outside on the heads. The E63's engine differs from one other AMG 4.0-liter V8s because its turbochargers would be the twin-scroll type that happen to be matched towards the exhaust pulses to scale back losses and spool more rapidly. Engineers wouldn't admit to your mechanical differences between your S's 603 horsepower engine along with the base car's 563 horsepower tune, which led us to imagine that it's simply software that unlocks the extra 40 horsepower. The S version eats 21.8 pounds per square inch of boost, as you move the 563 horsepower version ingests 18.9 pounds per square inch. Both are created in AMG's home in Affalterbach, Germany, the place where a single technician is bestowed upon an engine. AMG calls the build process one man, one engine, but additionally, there are a few Fräulein bolting together engines. After driving the newest E63, it seems like naive to possess been concerned about the effects in the reduced, 4.0-liter displacement. Power builds instantly and it also consistently builds all the way to your 7,000 revolutions per minute redline. A 9-speed planetary gear automatic, introduced from the E300 last fall, is strengthened to cope using the engine's 627 lb-ft of torque. In place on the conventional A-Class's torque converter is AMG's wet multiplate clutch, which delivers fairly smooth starts from your stop and enables aggressive launch control starts. 9 is just fine. Shifts are snapped using increasing urgency when you cycle from comfort mode to Sport plus lastly to race. Even with 9 speeds to shuffle through, the transmission never acts busy or from sorts.
multi-gear downshifts happen quickly, and there's none with the incessant shifting that plagues other 9-speed automatics. Top gear is tall for better fuel economy and quietness, reducing engine revs to below 2,000 revolutions per minute at 80 miles per hour. It's just a little odd that there's a column shifter vehicle with this much power, but we can't say we miss developing a shifter between seats. We'd feel differently if this were a manual shifter, though. Mercedes-Benz claims a believable 0 to 60 mph use of 3.3 seconds with the S and 3.4 seconds with the base version. Launch control actuation has become greatly simplified. Instead, in the convoluted ritual from the past, select race, pull both paddles, place foot on brake, wait to the display to signal your vehicle is watchy, confirm using the right paddle, floor the accelerator while simultaneously releasing the brake. Launch control now could be available in Sport, Sport Plus, and Race modes. There's no reason to pull the paddles, simply enable launch control, push the brake using your left foot, and floor the accelerator. Revs are held at nearly 4,000 revolutions per minute, which enable it to be lowered while using paddles about the steering wheel. Release the brake, as well as the E63 shoots forward because all-wheel drive system scrambles to find the torque to your ground. Catch the drift. All-wheel drive is really a welcome ally for that boosted V8. Unlike its predecessor, which in fact had a fixed torque split, the modern E63's torque split can vary around the fly with as much as 100% directed rearward. This is enabled using a new clutch pack from the transfer case that constantly engages and disengages clutches that distribute torque. In back, an electronically controlled locking differential shared with all the C63 varies the lockup to lessen inside wheel slip in corners and, in accordance with AMG, helps drivers approach and drive in the E63's limits. The new system allows Mercedes-AMG to incorporate a drift mode that may send 100% in the engine's torque for the rear, which makes it a rear-drive car. Getting the E63S into drift mode, however, is a little like engaging in the old launch control. Choose race mode, completely disable stability control, simply select the transmission's manual mode, and hold both paddles before the screen asks if you'd prefer to enter drift mode. Pull the appropriate paddle around the steering wheel to verify. Base cars won't get drift mode, so choose the S-model in order to turn your E63 4MATIC into an E63 2MATIC. Get the sequence right, and also the E63S turns into a rear-drive car before you turn it off or switch modes. We didn't are able to try it. In the interest of saving the 29530ZR20 rear Pirelli P0 tires, the cars readily available during our road drive had drift mode disabled. On the path, the E63S has exactly the same dual personality for an E300. As you'd expect, the AMG shifts toward the sporty end in the spectrum. But once you're trundling around using the car emerge comfort, it's quiet, the ride isn't jarring, as well as the engine can operate on 4 cylinders. Even to use most relaxed setting, the steering is heavy, nonetheless it gets much heavier within the more serious settings. Feedback through the leader is good, yet there's enough typical Mercedes-Benz creaminess to make the auto watch as supremely refined when you're not driving it tough. Switching to Sport and Beyond not simply stiffens the 3-chamber air springs, firms in the adaptive dampers, quickens shifts, and increases steering effort. Furthermore, it causes the audio system speakers to amplify the engine's noise. It's cheating, however it's cheating for your team, and, more valuable, it doesn't sound fake. That's the V8 playing from the speakers. From the outside, the Sport exhaust barks with precisely the same anger as AMG's old naturally aspirated 6.2-liter V8 when under load.
When cruising along around the highway, where 100 miles per hour feels similar to 60, the engine sound is subdued and not tiresome. Mercedes isn't watchy to divulge what are the US models will weigh, but we're told should be expected a 33-pound excess weight over the previous generation. That means the modern E63 should weigh nearly 4,500 pounds. On the track, the E63S makes long straights very short. Cornering grip is a great one, the chassis is playful under power, plus it's possible to discover the rear end in the future around even without drift mode. But there's no escaping the weight in the E63. It'll bear whatever you ask of computer on track, but that does appear tire abuse. We can't imagine any people who just love this likely $105,000 sedan are going to be taking it on the track, but the performance could there be, if and when they want it. What we loved, and what we've loved about every E-Class ever created by AMG, is the performance doesn't come with the expense of luxury. Even the Hammer never forgot it had been a Mercedes-Benz.